Alright, so just to give you an idea of what the wind conditions are like, although granted, this doesn't look terribly bad. That flag was just changing directions a couple of seconds ago. So, it is definitely well, naturally, as soon as I come back in, the wind calms down. These wind chimes were almost horizontal. It was pretty much crazy. So I decided, just for the heck of it, to see how the Heli Max 230 SI would do. And it actually did surprisingly well. I do have to admit, I did chicken out and I put it in headless mode because with it being so far up and with the clouds being up there and the back of this, well, the bottom of this unit being black, this is actually pretty hard to see when it's up in toward dark clouds. And I didn't want to take a chance of losing another one. So, got it up there, and it was pretty wild because this is a very light. You can see by the size of my hand, it's a pretty small aircraft. Very light in the wind, and it really did exceptionally well. The footage is terrible. I'll see if I can include that in the video, but it did really well. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought for sure that it was going to get blown way off track, and I was going to have a really hard time recovering it. And I did have a hard time recovering it, but I mostly had a hard time recovering it because there was so much wind up there. It was blowing the craft away from me, and I had a hard time pulling it back at maximum, leaning it backwards into like a reverse dive toward me. It was doing all it could to fight the wind and get back toward me. And when you're decreasing the power, you can only take it back a little bit at a time, and then it'll keep lowering down. If you take this thing like right down to here, it just shuts off. That's it. There's no more power, and this thing will crash. And if it's 200 feet up, that's it. You cut the power. So you kind of have to bring it down to about a halfway point, and it seeks a level, and then you can bring it down a little bit more, and then keep doing that until you get it back down to the ground. But all the while, you're still fighting the wind and everything, and you're pulling it back toward you. And you just have to be careful with it. That's about it. Done blathering on. But yes, these things actually will fly in high winds, which completely surprised me. I thought for sure I was just going to crash in the first, 2 or 3 seconds. And it took me probably a minute.